I hope you're not one of those boaters who sail with fenders hanging off the side, because that's not just a mistake, it's a crime. In any case, in this video, I'm going to explain the 5 most common mistakes people make when using boat fenders, and I'll give you one extra tip at the end of the video. First mistake, using ropes that are too thin to tie fenders. A common mistake is using lines with too small a diameter. While a thin line might seem sufficient to hold the fender, it will actually damage it over time. The issue is that the rope is much stronger than the PVC most fenders are made from, and a small contact area causes excessive pressure and friction. Gradually, this creates localized wear, weakening the fender's rope hold, which may eventually break. To avoid this, it's crucial to choose a line with the right diameter, thick enough to fill most of the rope hold and distribute the load more evenly. As a reference, never use a line thinner than 3/8 inch for small fenders with a single line, or 1 inch for large fenders. If you don't have a thick enough line, you can use a double line by passing the rope through the hole twice to increase the contact surface. Second mistake, tying the fender line too high. Don't tie fenders too high. For example, if you're placing a fender at a certain position relative to the hull, tie the line as low as possible. Instead of tying it to the top of the stanchion, do it at the base. If tied to the top, the fender will swing in a wider arc, increasing the chance it ends up on top of the dock or even on the boat's deck. Third mistake, fenders inflated too little or too much. A properly inflated fender keeps its intended shape and size, ensuring consistent spacing between the boat and the dock or another boat. Under-inflated fenders deform easily, losing their ability to absorb impact. This makes them far less effective and can result in damage to the hull or dock. They're also more likely to slip out of place during docking maneuvers, becoming useless at the critical moment. They also fail to maintain safe spacing and are more prone to pinching or damage from excessive compression. Overinflated fenders become too rigid and don't properly absorb impacts. Instead of cushioning, they transfer the force to the hull or dock structure, increasing the risk of damage. High pressure also raises the risk of bursting, especially when exposed to heat or additional docking pressure. Overinflation also accelerates material wear and weakens seams, reducing the fender's lifespan. The correct inflation pressure is specified by the manufacturer. If you don't have a pressure gauge, you can check by pressing the fender with your hand. If the pressure is correct, the fender should compress about 0.6 centimeters or 1/4 inch. For cylindrical fenders, if they are very deflated or very inflated, it can also be observed with the naked eye. Fourth mistake, setting the fender at the wrong height. Fenders must be positioned just right. If too low, they'll float in the water and lose effectiveness, possibly becoming useless. If too high, they risk sliding upward due to movement or heavy compression. There's no perfect formula for the correct height, so use your judgment. Observe your boat's hull shape, how you're docked, the dock, and neighboring boats. Also account for tides, as they might require adjusting fender height. Fifth mistake, using the wrong number of fenders. A common error is using too few fenders. There's no universal rule, but it's usually recommended to use at least 3 fenders per side on small boats, or at least 1 fender per 10 feet of boat length, plus 1 extra. When determining how many fenders to use and where to place them, consider how you're docked, the shape of your boat, the dock's geometry, and nearby boats. Keep in mind the most critical point, the area around the boat's maximum beam, which should be protected most carefully. Be generous with fenders, but don't go overboard. Final tip, protect your fenders from the sun and inspect them regularly. Fenders constantly exposed to sunlight can deteriorate faster, especially those made from materials like PVC or vinyl. To extend their lifespan, store them in a cool shaded place when not in use. Also, inspect your fenders regularly. Look for signs of wear, cracks, leaks, or pressure loss. Even minor damage can seriously affect their ability to protect your boat. Fair winds and following seas.